Okay, I'm going to basically introduce the video, and then I will introduce you as a part of House of Hobbies.
Sweet.
And then that you're going to talk about Daughters of Khaine, and then we'll just jump into...
That was my army? Got him.
Well, okay. To be fair, both of them were like, oh yeah, I didn't play the army that we talked about in the tournament. We're like, oh shoot.
It's okay. I came prepared. We're good.
Great,
I just wanted to
perfect.
get you before we get started.
It's good. It's good.
There's the intro.
Yeah. This is Empty Wallets. My name is Gabe, and today we are joined by Erica with House of Hobbies. She's going to be talking about Daughters of Khaine. So we obviously have lots of armies that we play, but we needed to bring in some people for the armies that we don't play. So Erica has joined us today, which we're super excited about. So Erica, welcome to Empty Wallets and to our place of talking about Warhammer and other games.
Well, thank you. Hopefully after this, you'll want to play some talk. So
Yes, it'll be fun. So really quick, tell me about just kind of summary Daughters of Khaine of just like, what do you like about them in a sense of just like in general? Like what drew you to playing Daughters of Khaine?
Well, am I allowed to say that the army was a birthday present?
That works.
and then
works.
I was like, okay, they're too cool looking, so
Yeah.
I guess I have to play them. I really like that there's different play styles within the army, and they're kind of set up that way with the models too. Like you can go more elves and get a different type of mechanic. You can go more, the Medusas, snaky ladies, you get a different kind of mechanic. But even with them, if you want to play up close and personal and like punch
Bash
people in the
them heads in.
face,
Yeah.
you can. Or you can stay back and melt them from afar.
Right.
So it gives you different types of play styles all within the same army.
Okay, cool. So I've actually, all of these spotlights that we've done so far, I've either played them or played against these armies. I have never played against Daughters of Khaine. I have no idea how they
you're
work.
missing out.
So I'm excited because it's one that I've always kind of looked at and been like, this would be kind of fun to try that army out or to play against it. So I'm very, very excited.
They're fun to play. Play against? I don't know about that one.
Cool. So Daughters of Khaine's biggest mechanics. Most armies have some sort of like board-wide mechanic that they have for their armies. Like Nurgle has their, clock that they go around. Fire Slayers have the specific thing that they can pick to last for that round. Does Daughters of Khaine have anything that they get to, like big faction stuff?
I would say the biggest thing for them is the blood rights chart. So they got automatic buffs per round. And it's +1 to run, charge, hit, wound, and then they get a 5-up ward instead of their natural 6-up ward.
Okay.
So they're automatically getting buffs for the army. But then the way you use command points to either teleport, which can happen out of combat.
Oh, dang.
Shoot in the hero phase.
What?
Or fight in the hero phase.
Fighting in the hero phase is like, a couple armies have it. Shooting in the hero phase, that's insane.
Oh, yeah, 24 inch
crazy.
range.
That's
3 up, -1.
That's insane.
It's glorious.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, obviously the biggest staple, I would say for a lot of the Doc armies that I've seen is Marathi and pairing that with the Shadow Queen. You got to take both.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a really pretty incarnate.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of it. You're going to be stuck with that for at least 2 full rounds because she can only take a max of 3 wounds.
Yeah.
And that's combined.
Dang.
So you get kind of that incarnate,
that kind of
not
vibe.
going away.
Right.
You're stuck with this big evil monster thing.
Yeah.
But she looks way better.
Yeah. And then a big bony dragon.
Yeah.
Cool.
More aesthetically
So
pleasing.
they get these buffs, right? The blood rights. Do those trigger after each round, kind of like Ideneth does with their tides?
They're
how does it?
cumulative.
Okay, so they continue to stack. And is that just a like, okay, you always start on this one and next round you get this one too? Or is it kind of more random?
You always start on +1 to run.
Okay.
Unless you take Hagnar, which is one of the sub-factions, and then you can actually start later on the chart.
Oh, geez.
And there's also a command ability for a couple of the heroes where it will allow you to move ahead for that round on the blood rights chart.
Wow.
So you can spend a CP. So, I mean, potentially by round 3, you're looking at +1 hit and +1 wound.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is wonderful.
And then shooting in the hero phase. So
Yeah.
you're stacking all that together. And
Well,
it's just,
the +1 to hit is only in melee.
okay, but still, you're getting some
Yeah.
good buffs for all of your units
Oh yeah,
on
it's
the
great.
table. Yeah,
Very buffy.
they seem to have some pretty awesome army-wide traits.
Oh, yeah.
What about as we dive into kind of further down the book as you parse through it, some command traits? What are some of the command traits that you like to see, that you like to use, that are very notable?
Top command trait, I would say, is Zealous Orator.
Okay.
It allows for a rally on a 4-up.
Oh,
So if you partner that with the subfaction Calibron,
Okay.
which allows you to teleport a unit with a command point, you can teleport out of combat
yep.
and then rally your beefy bow snakes.
Oh my
Or your
gosh.
melee snakes.
Jesus. Can you teleport out of combat like immediately? Is it after the phase is over, or like can you hit and then like
It's
strike
during,
and like kind of strike and fade like?
it's at the end of the movement phase.
Yeah.
So if you're in combat with
Gotcha. Okay, so not
either
like
your melee
okay, so not
snakes-
in combat, but like within combat range. is what
yeah,
you're
so
saying.
you can
the same,
shoot
but yeah.
or fight
Okay.
with the command point
Yep.
in the hero phase.
Yep.
Then at the end
Jeez.
of the movement phase, you can teleport them out of danger. And then once you hit the next turn, you rally them on a 4-up.
Dang.
So,
So you're just doing a ton of damage, pulling them out, and then healing them all.
yeah. So if you're a death player that really likes the recursion,
Yep.
this is a really good order army that allows you to bring them back like a bad rash.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
fun. That's cool.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's
That's
annoying.
awesome. Cool. Any other command traits that go kind of along with some of the lists? Or is that just like, you got to take this one?
I mean, that one, yeah, if you're running larger battle line units like reinforced
Yeah.
sisters, reinforced stalkers,
Yeah.
even witch elves, that is pretty much a staple.
Yeah.
There's another one called Fueled by Revenge, and that one allows for your hero to fight on death.
Okay.
But there are other opportunities for fight on death,
Okay.
depending on your subfaction
Right.
or
So just being able to teleport
command
out
points.
is, I mean, even if you're not going to be able to, even if you take a different subfaction, being able to pull something out of combat range is just good in general.
Yeah.
To just pull them away from danger, even if it's a hero to heal later and all that fun stuff. Yeah, that's cool.
So the
That's
fight on
really
death
awesome.
is good, and they've got that a couple of different ways. But then, I mean, yeah, rally on a 4-up is hard to beat.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Oh, right. The command gives rally, not the teleport. That's the subfaction.
There is
Gotcha.
a command for teleport, but that happens in hero phase.
Okay.
So they're different phases.
Right. So you could.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. It's a lot of teleporting. A lot
Yeah.
of teleporting.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of.
Oh, yeah.
to bring back.
And Shadow
That's fun.
Stalkers
Yeah.
actually teleport for their movement.
This does feel very death for
It
an
does.
order
It
army.
actually
That's
does.
fun.
Maybe this is why I like it.
Yeah.
Because I was just playing a lot of OBR.
That's awesome. That's super fun. Cool. So after command traits, we start to jump into artifacts and spells and all of that. So any notable artifacts that people want to be on the lookout for when they're building their list?
Crown of Woe is it denies inspiring presence and rally within 9 inches of your
Okay.
hero. But if your hero kills something, that expands to 15,
Oh, wow.
which can be really
That's
helpful
really
if
nice.
you're pushing in like a unit of your sisters, your melee snakes, or a unit of witch elves, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you're right behind them with your hero. You're going to be
Right.
able to chew through something that can't
Yeah.
inspiring presence.
Yeah. Oh.
So now they've got a piece out at the
Yeah.
end if you can do some damage.
Yeah.
So I would say that one is probably the best option.
Mm-hmm.
But Rune of Khaine is another one that allows you to fight on death.
Okay. So more just when you go down, just doing some more attacks.
Yeah, and this is really nice to put on Iron Scale,
Mm.
who isn't a locus,
Okay.
because if she's got Bloodthirsty Zealot for your grand strat, which I know we'll get into a little
Yeah,
bit later,
yeah.
but everything has to either fight or die. So you're gonna put her
Yeah.
into combat at some point. And right now, with how we're playing, you
Right.
want to keep that tiny little wizard alive for one of the grand strats. So
Right.
if you're not worried about that, and you're trying to get everything into combat, the
Yeah.
fight on death is really good for the hero. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is really nice.
It's another
Yeah.
option, but
Right.
I'd rather do Crown of Woe.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then what about spells? Are they? Sorry, I guess I should ask. Are they a wizard army or a priest army or both? I guess they're kind of
Both.
turned into both now.
Yeah.
I've realized that that's starting to be a thing, and I ran Khorne and Fireslayers, which was always priest. They never had any, always priest, and now Khorne has magic, and it's or not magic. No, yeah, they're still all priests. It's just all over the place, and now it feels like I can't tell which one has priests, which ones have wizards. But, anyways, so what are some spells that and prayers that you like to pick for your lists?
Yeah. So for Doc, again, if you are more of you want to cast spells, you want to be able to do a lot of damage with magic, that's a really good way to go. But if you build your army around like the Hag Queen and the cauldrons, you would be doing a lot more with prayers.
Okay.
So it kind of depends how you build the army with the type of play style that you want to have.
Okay.
So
is that limited to your sub-factions and units, or is it kind of more just your play style?
So one of the biggest tips with this army is once you find the type of play style that you like, pick the units that are going to work cohesively within that play style.
Yeah.
So if you are going to go super aggressive, punch them in the face, you want the spells, you want the teleport, you're going to choose the units that work well with that.
Yeah.
If you're going to go more for the charge shenanigans,
Right.
the buffing witch elves to high heaven, you're going to want to go more the priest route.
Okay.
And you're going to build your units with that in mind.
Right.
And so you could have 2 doc players and there might be 0 overlap with units, depending on how they build the army.
How they play and build the army.
So you can have 2 completely different doc armies with completely different play styles.
So it makes it so that if you have a copy army or 2 Daughters of Khaine, like you said, it's not like you're just facing off against yourself.
Yeah.
It could be.
It
very
might not be a
different.
mirror match.
Yeah, that's fun. That's super cool. So what it sounds like is that it's not. You don't really pick a unit and say, this is the unit I want to build around. You pick more of a play style and then put everything around it. I know that's very general for most armies.
I think you could do it either way.
Okay.
If you, like for me, I like Marathi and Shadow. Like they just, I want those in my army.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, this means I'm going for this play style.
Yeah.
So then I built around that.
Yeah.
But if you like a specific style, then you can build the units based on that too.
Cool.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah. But in terms of spells, I would say there's a couple of super notable spells. Anything with Marathi, she can cast 3, dispel 2, and she knows everything from the lore of shadows.
Okay.
Mind Razor.
Lore of Shadows is just the list of spells.
That's her list of spells.
Cool.
Almost everything else, I think, goes off of whatever spell is on their war scroll. She's really the only one that has this full, extensive list of spells at her disposal.
That's awesome.
Mind Razor is nasty.
Okay.
That one is +1 to rend for melee, and then you get +1 to damage if they charged.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah. So if you're running snakes, I mean,
just
you're
more
just
rend and more damage.
Yep.
That's
and
rough.
then another go-to is going to be, she's got a couple of spells that do like mortal wounds with a 36-inch range. And
just a table snipe.
Yeah. And then Steed of Shadows is actually a good one. It activates her wings.
Okay.
And so she can go 16 inches and have fly, which she has wings, so you would think she'd be able to do that.
Always have fly, yeah.
Anyway, but they're not active unless you cast the spell.
Okay.
That one can be tricky though, because if you take her more than... if you take her out of range of what you're trying to get to shoot or fight in the hero phase, then you're out of range to be able to do all of that extra damage.
Right.
So you have
All
to
the
be careful
buffing and
with
all that,
that.
yeah.
But if you give it to her, well, now your opponent has to calculate a much longer threat range.
Right. Yeah.
And if you take the Shadow Queen and you take Marathi and you pin a unit in, well, now that unit can only do 3 damage to both models total.
Oh my goodness.
Because they soul share.
Right.
So you're going to do a whole lot to
Right.
your opponent.
Before they can do a whole lot to you. Yeah. Ugh.
Or you just sit there and wait until you can punch them in the face.
Yeah.
And they're pinned and they don't really have anywhere to go. So it really increases the threat range.
Okay.
Even
so be
if
careful with it because you could be
you don't want to
pulling
get
her too
out
far
of
away.
range of buffing your other units. But then it makes your opponent wonder what you're going to do next.
Okay.
So that one I think is really valuable. And with her only she casts 3 spells. Sometimes you don't really have anything that you can do if everything else is out of range.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll just cast that one to make my opponent wonder what's happening next.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because I'm going to use all 16 inches.
Right.
So little brain tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's nice. I mean, just being able to have that board control too to make your opponent kind of worried about what do they do. Are you, even if you play, because you may not even move at all. So they may like try to calculate and you're like, joke's on you. I'm staying here.
Yeah.
So it's a fun little mind trick to play against your opponent.
Yeah. Yep. It's a good one. Prayers, those are pretty much cast from the characters like Hag Queen or the ones that would like sit on the cauldrons.
Okay.
So if you're looking for some like fatty monsterish charge shenanigans, that would kind of be the route that you go with those. A lot of those are buffing friendly units or doing some mortals.
Yeah.
There's like a prayer that'll heal. Not really a whole lot of versatility with that.
Yeah.
One of them will give you a prayer to add +1 to your blood rights chart. So it's pretty much the same as what you can get with command abilities and
So nothing notable, just more
spells.
like kind of some support a little bit that is nice to have, but not necessarily like the spells seem like they're
The
super
spells are
good.
better.
Yeah.
But depending on how you build your army, if you really want to be able to like add 1 to the blood rights chart, you've got like 3 different ways to do it.
Right.
So if you go with a more prayer-based army, you can do what you want. If you go with a more spell-based army, you can still do what you want. So you've got a lot of versatility.
That's fun. Do you prefer to play more magic heavy or more priest heavy?
Magic heavy.
Okay.
For sure.
Cool.
Because that's the either sisters or stalkers if you want the melee snakes or the bow snakes, and those are my favorite. Yes.
This is making me really want to play either play it or play against Daughters of Khaine. Very bad.
Not play against.
Not play against. Right. You told me that at the beginning, and I need to
don't seek out
etch
a dark
that into
opponent
my brain.
unless you want frustration.
I like it. Okay, so we finished talking about enhancements. We've talked a little bit about subfactions, but I want to kind of go more now, really talk about subfactions. So what are the best subfactions you think to pick for Khaine?
My favorite is Calibron.
Okay.
That is the teleport.
Right.
Which
We're talking about
is,
teleporting.
I mean, that is just the ability to teleport is invaluable.
Right.
That's amazing. Xanther Kai is also being able to fight on death.
More
and
fighting
that's
on death.
with,
Oh
well,
my
it's with
goodness.
Melusai.
Okay.
So this is your sisters, which are your
Okay.
melee snakes, or your stalkers, which are your bow snakes.
Okay.
Now, the bow snakes, you really don't want to get up close and personal with anyone.
Because you want to shoot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the melee snakes being able to fight on death, and then they also turn you to crystal at the end, so they're doing mortal wounds to you after they fight anyway.
Jeez.
It's just, that gets really nasty.
Yeah. I would love to see a Khaine and Khorne head to head. I feel like that would be a fun brawl. Maybe.
Have we done that? Khaine and Khorne?
Khaine and Khorne.
Khaine and
Great
Khorne.
indie band. I love that cereal. He's my favorite cereal.
Yeah, Khaine and
Khorne. No, we have not done that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we'll need to do a Khaine and Khorne,
Yeah,
Khaine and Khorne
that should be good.
little battle.
Good. So Hagnar is the +1 to the blood rights chart, which can be also done with a general's trait. So you don't technically have to take that if you want to move forward on the blood rights chart, but it's good to have in your back pocket if you want that.
Cool.
Then there's a few other ones. It gives you a potential second round of fighting if you roll a 4-up, but that's only for Sisters of the Slaughter.
Okay.
Which I don't really play all that
So
much
you kind of
with.
have to build
I'm not
around
as-
that and then also get the dice roll, which
Yeah.
what always happens is you can never get it.
Yeah,
You
and
never
then
get the dice roll.
then you get a retreat and charge, which is really only helpful if you're using the cauldrons, because they're
Okay.
the only ones that really do any sort of mortals on charge.
Mm.
So anything else that you're using isn't really going to give you a bang for your buck.
So
out
this
of that one.
that stuff actually kind of puts you in a hole of you have to take these units. You can't
Yeah.
be as versatile as hey, I just teleport. I'm just out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of them also, it gives your witch elves and sisters of the slaughter, which are battle line, it gives them +1 to rend if they charged.
Okay.
But you can also give them +1 to rend if you're running the spells from the lore with Marathi. So you don't, like, some of the sub-factions, you can still get that same
Perk
buff.
somewhere else.
Yeah, the perks. Yeah, exactly. You can get it somewhere else in the army. You don't have to take
Right.
that sub-faction.
So it's better to take something that you're not
Calibron.
going to be able to do. Yeah.
Calibron's where it's at
Yeah.
for me.
Awesome.
Is the movement, especially right now with how many of the the general battle tactics
Right.
are available if you can move.
Yeah.
So the surround and destroy all of a sudden becomes a heck of a lot easier if you're able to teleport.
Yep.
And you can do it out of combat.
Yeah.
It's glorious.
That would be, maybe we don't do a Khaine and Khorne, because that would be frustrating for me as a Khorne player to be like, I finally got there. Actually, it'd be worse for Fire Slayers. I finally got there, and then you're gone. That would be, that's the worst. Okay, so let's talk about endless spells and invocations. What do they have? I know that there's a couple. I've seen endless spells for them.
I don't use these. So I need my notes for this one.
Interesting.
I normally cap out my points with the units.
Okay.
Sometimes if I'm doing a
Yeah.
funky point value, if we're doing like an escalation league or something, then these might come in
Right.
handy. Some people love them. Blade Wind, only 30 points. Casting value of 6, and it gives you a 2-up is mortal wounds if you're
Okay.
within an inch. So it's just a little mortal wound
Yep.
bomb. The Viper is 60 points, casting value of 7, and that actually counts as a monster. So you can do monstrous rampages with it.
That's fun.
And then for that one, you get 3d6 rolls, and if you're over the wound characteristic of whatever you're within an inch of, it's going to do mortals.
Okay.
So it's more mortals. It gives you a more bang for your buck, so to
Yeah.
speak, but it's 30 more points than
Right.
the Blade Wind. And then there's an invocation, which is the Heart of Fury. This one's 50 points. It has an answer value of 3. And for this one, if you roll a 1 to a 5,
Yep.
then you get wholly within 12 inches is -1 to damage whenever they're targeted.
Dang.
If you roll a 6, you get the -1 to damage, and then it also stacks a +1 to melee attacks.
So
if
melee
you're
attacks is just always rough.
If you're
Always
spamming witch elves,
Yeah.
now round 4 on your blood rights chart, you've got 4 attacks at 2s and 3s.
Oh.
So if they make it to round 4,
Yeah. Jeez.
because they kind of die to a swift breeze,
Yeah.
but if they make it to round 4, they
Yeah.
can be potentially very gnarly.
You said that you don't normally take these because you fill them with units. Is there a particular reason why, or you just rather have more units on the table?
I want more units.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially when we start talking about battle tactics.
Well, we're going to jump into battle tactics now. So
Glorious.
start with what battle tactics do you like to pick kind of right off the bat? What are the best ones? What are some good ones to kind of hold on to hold precious for when you need them?
So the beautiful thing about playing Doc
Yep.
is you have so many battle tactics that are decently easy
Oh,
to
man.
obtain
Yeah.
that you really get to be very strategic about the order.
Okay.
And when you're mixing them with whatever is available in the current season,
Great.
now
just-
you get to play battle tactics not based on what your army needs,
Yeah.
but it's based on what the battle plan
Yeah.
is.
That's nice.
So a lot of them are based on the units that you take. So some of them are just generic, like
Yep.
Clash of Arms, you need 3 units to charge.
Okay. That's
Okay,
basically hold hands and run.
cool. Yep.
a
Especially
little
when you
bit
get
more,
plus
but-
1 to run
Yeah.
right off the bat,
Yeah.
and plus 1 to charge in round 2 for your
Yeah.
blood rights. So now
Yeah.
you got plus 1 to charge. Cruel Delights is relying on the Canary.
Okay.
And so if they use their ability, which the lower point version, you can fight and then fly.
Jeez.
The higher point version, you can shoot and then fly.
Okay.
You need 2 units of those, which is why I don't take
Yeah.
spells or invocations.
Right. Because you need 2 of them. Right.
And if they use their ability,
Yep.
no other stipulations. They just need to check the box.
They just use the
You get
ability.
a battle tactic. With the Canary, they also start in the sky.
Okay.
So if you take the Khanari that throw their spears,
Yep.
you start in the sky, you get to drop them in 9 inches from your opponent, shoot your opponent,
Yep.
and then make a 6-inch move.
Oh, good.
So
Can
if
they
your
move closer?
opponent, so if your opponent is on the objective and they're doing that little tiptoe the objective,
Yeah.
so you can't drop in and take it from him, guess what? You can take it from him.
Yep.
So now you can check off that battle tactic,
Right.
and you can steal an objective.
Dang.
And then if you stay out of combat, and for let's say a miracle happens and you get the double.
Yeah.
Well, now you have a unit that flies that's got a really good, I think they've got 14-inch move, and you can then start thinking
Just-
about doing, 2 in your
Yeah.
enemy's territory, or now you get to do surround and destroy. And so you've got this really mobile unit that you just stole an objective from
Yep.
someone.
Got a battle tactic.
You get it, yeah.
And now you have
yeah.
more.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
they're not that great, and they die real quick.
Yeah.
But
They're really good
are
for that.
tactics.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Which
then,
is at the end of the day, that's the most important thing is getting your battle tactics.
yeah. So then you also have Tide of Blades, where you can get 2 units from your starting army wholly within your opponent's territory. Khanari, you get
And-
to teleport.
Yeah.
So now you teleport that unit
Into their
into
into
yeah,
their
exactly.
territory. And it's easy.
And if you take Shadow Stalkers, they can teleport anyway as their normal move. So you
Yep.
don't even have to sacrifice multiple units somewhere on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm deploying, I take my Shadow Stalkers and I stick them in the back corner. And my opponent's like, what the heck are those doing over there? And I'm like, just you wait.
Yeah.
Just you
What
wait.
are those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Executioner's Cult relies on having the model Gladiatrix, which now that I've been researching this one a little more, I might
Have
want to
to
play with this.
try it. Yeah.
As long as you slay a unit using Killing Stroke, check.
Dang.
You can also do one where you destroy 2 chaos units, but you have to be using either of the NARs for the battle tactic or the sub-factions.
Okay.
And then there's another one that you can do with the Shadow Stalkers where you can teleport them, they do their leap,
Yeah.
and then charge.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend using that one though until you have the +1 to charge. So
Right.
now you
You
only
wanna
need
do
an
it
8
kinda later, right.
instead of a 9, but that could potentially in a pinch be another
you need
battle
to do, yeah.
tactic. Yeah. So all in all, 4 out of the 6 are available in the army that I like to play.
Yeah.
And then you have all of the tactics
Right,
that
that
are
come with
available
the-
normally.
right.
So you just have this abundance of battle tactics
That's
at your
nice.
disposal.
Yeah.
So that's one of
And
the
as long
reasons
as you're
I
playing those in the end, like
Yeah.
that's what you need.
well, and then doing the cheeky steal objectives
Yeah.
too, with all of the teleport and
Yep.
then teleport plus shoot plus move
Yep.
shenanigans. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to
yeah.
get the points that you need.
Yep, that's nice. Cool. So, what about grand strategies? What's something that you're going to pick as your grand strategy in the case of a tie, or even just to get that extra points?
Bloodthirsty zealots.
Okay,
Everything has to fight or die.
I love
And if
that.
you are somebody that likes to just run in and smash,
Yep.
by the end of the game, you must run in and smash.
Yep.
And especially if you're playing without a locus in the current season,
Yeah.
now you don't need,
It doesn't matter.
you're not
Yeah.
worried about the whole, oh, well, my locus can't die.
Yeah. Yep.
It just, okay,
You
run
just
and
go in
smash.
attack everything. Yeah.
Grand strat achieved. And it's so hard for your opponent to deny that unless they literally spend like the entire last 2 or 3 rounds of the game running away from you intentionally.
Yep.
But then they could potentially give up
Yep.
the objectives.
Right, 'cause they're trying to
so
stay away.
Either way, you're like, okay, if you want that objective, you're going to give me my grand strat.
Yep.
And so it makes them play this kind of, 2 points
Yeah.
versus 3 points at the end of the game.
That's fun. So it counts for both armies. So Khaine and the opponent you're playing has to fight or die.
No,
right? Oh,
just,
it's just you.
just Doc.
Just docked. Wow. Does that include any units that you have in reserve and bring down?
Anything from your starting
Okay.
army
Right. Cool.
has to fight or die. Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah. So
which
reserve.
is really easy to do.
Do they have any sort of summoning or anything like that? Okay. Cool.
No, just the
Just to drop from the sky and
Well,
destroy.
yeah, they have the potential for the deep strike, but the rally on a 4-up
the
is
revive,
really
yeah.
just
Yeah,
that's what
that's-
makes them.
right. Just to continue
Regenerate.
to stay. Yeah. Cool.
So when it says, okay, your 2K army only has 90 wounds, but how many times are you bringing those wounds back and adding to that total wounds that your opponent has to chop through? So
That's super nice. That's really crazy.
other grand strats, there's a bloodbath grand strat, and that one requires all models to have at least one model slain, and all heroes and monsters have to have one wound on them.
Okay.
So if you're playing like the cauldrons, you at least have to have one wound on those.
Okay. Just like currently on them, not has taken one wound at any point. Do they have to?
No, they have to
have
currently
one? Okay.
have it on them.
Cool.
But I believe that one also counts for your opponent.
Oh, okay.
Don't kill me if I'm wrong. So if you're playing another army and like they're doing the whole don't kill my locust and protecting it,
Yeah.
and that's one that this counts for, well, that's going to be a really hard grand strat to achieve. So it kind of depends on what season you're in and what the rules are for that particular season as to whether or not that would be viable. Everything fights or dies though for the zealots, like that's
Especially
always
with teleporting, with all the charging, you're gonna be able to get
always
into
going to be
combat.
viable.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super cool. Awesome. So let's jump into units. We've talked a little bit about a couple units. You've mentioned lots of them that you use. So, we don't need to beat a dead horse, but is there anything else that you want to mention about units and, quickly like, yeah, this one, definitely. Or any that you're like, stay away from that one. Don't waste your
speaking
time.
of
Don't waste your money.
horses.
Yeah.
The Doomfire Warlocks aren't all that great.
Okay.
But they're kind of cool looking models. And there's so many armies that have really good cavalry that I am hoping at some point when Doc gets a little love and gets some refresh that maybe they will get a little bit
Some
better.
more cavalry.
Just to kind of put them on par with some of the other armies that are out there that have really strong cavalry.
Yeah.
So I would not recommend playing with those.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the units we've talked a lot about the snakes.
Yep.
And love mistakes.
Yep.
But it's really how you combo the units. So like the Iron Scale as a hero will give buffs to Melusai units that are nearby.
Right.
So that works really well together. Bringing in, Shadow Stalkers, their battle line if you're in Calibron.
Okay.
So that is going to also be an opportunity to kind of work with the army in how you build those units collaboratively.
Yeah.
Bringing in, Marathi and Shadow Queen, you can't go wrong.
Can't separate them. Gotta keep them together.
Yeah. Well, and they also do so much in terms of buffing all of the other units that it's almost an auto include. Now, if you are playing Doc for a while and you get sick of playing Marathi, then you have other options, which is nice. They did just come out with a new Doc model I have seen this. Anti-Marathi.
Yes.
And so I am very interested to see how this model works. Yeah. Well, based on the limbs, it looks like it's going to fall more into the like elf realm. I don't know. I'm interested to see how it works with the army and where it fits in terms of play style and how you can
that'll be fun.
Build up an army.
Because there's more options.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even more options compared to, it already sounds like Doc has so many ways you can configure your army. Yeah. So just to have even more, it's just super
Doc
super
has
nice.
really, really strong heroes if you're going the snake route.
Okay.
They don't have, Cauldron, Avatar, but there really isn't anything that's just like mega powerful if you're going the elf route.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that this brings in that new element.
Route. Yeah.
So now it makes both types of Doc army more equitable.
Okay.
And so that could be really interesting to see how many more armies we see that are spamming witch elves.
Yeah, that'll be cool. It's a cool model too. Overall, it's just a sweet looking miniature. Yeah. We've talked about kind of most of Doc and all the fun things that they have to offer. So now, what are your tips for somebody who is just picking it up for the first time or is interested and wants to play it? What are your tips for them as a player of Doc?
I would say definitely find the combos that you like and build an army around that particular play style. So for me, my first love is Marathi and the Bow Snakes.
Yep.
And so that's my little band.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I build out the rest of my units and choose my subfaction, choose my character traits and everything that are going to work well with that combo that I enjoy.
Yeah.
With that too, it's not necessarily an army that you can put a potpourri of units in and like, oh, well, I really like this thing that casts a prayer and I really like this thing that does this and I really like this thing that shoots. You kind of have to build the army in a way that's going to work cohesively. Otherwise, you're not going to get all of the benefits.
It's just going to start falling apart quickly.
Yeah, you just don't get the buffs to make the army strong enough unless you build it as a cohesive.
Right.
Think of it like a team that works together. With that, I am like just in general for tips, especially for new players, I can't say enough about taking notes. I love AOS reminders.
Yeah.
If you're looking at wanting to learn more about the army, but you don't want to buy the most recent book, you're kind of shopping around. I am also a huge fan of Wahapedia.
Okay.
And I actually go and I'll print off the war scrolls so that I can color code them and make notes and stuff on them. I'm that kind of person.
Yeah.
Like if I don't write it
we
down.
all need to do that though. All of us
not
say
gonna
we're like,
remember.
no, I got this. And then you're you're flipping through your book frantically in a game.
Yeah. And it's so nice too, because once you get like, okay, here's my subfaction, I can write down the elements from that, or I can write down buffs from other units in the army on the war scrolls. And then the more you practice with the army, the more you get used to it, the less you need those. But especially for a new player, there's a lot of free resources that are out there that you don't necessarily have to go and buy and study a book or go and get the cards.
Yeah, because they get
You
expensive. They stack. I mean, having the book and the cards, you're looking at a good chunk of change you could be spending on plastic.
Yeah. Or, a lot of people find it really useful to use like the little markers that they'll get that have all the army specific mechanics on them and everything. And I just, I like my erasable pens and my little note taking. So yeah, that would be just in general.
Yeah.
A
for a
good
new
tip.
player. Yeah. Cool. What about if I'm about to play somebody who's playing against me as Daughters of Khaine? What are some weakness spots that I can take advantage of to take you down?
So I would say rather than focusing on weaknesses, because things do die pretty quickly.
Okay.
With this particular army, I would normally say don't split attacks.
Okay.
But once you do your 3 damage to either Marathi or the Shadow Queen, putting anything else into that is a waste of time because you're maxed out.
Yeah.
It's a time saver in the game. So if you do a whole bunch of stuff and you're like, okay, she takes 3 damage, just move on.
Yeah.
So it's nice to keep the game flowing if you want it to be speedier. But once you've done your 3 damage, move on. You're not getting rid of her. You can't really do anything about it. It's kind of like an incarnate. Don't waste your time. When you're going up against somebody that has that 4-up rally, focus your attacks.
To kill
Everything you've got to wipe a unit, because you leave one little bugger on the table.
Yep. And they're back.
And then, they will be back.
Yeah. Oh.
Absolutely. Other than that, I just really making sure that you're not allowing yourself to get pinned in between Marathi and Shadow Queen.
Yeah.
And then making sure on setup that you're taking into account the 24-inch range of the bows, the 36-inch range of like Black Horror of Ulgu, the spell. There's so many things that have range.
Yeah. Just utilize it. Take advantage of it.
Really just making sure on setup that you're staying out of those threat ranges if you can. So if your opponent goes first,
Yep. Then you're
they're
not
not
going to be
taking something off the table before you've even started playing.
So if you're a Khaine player, take advantage of that. And if you're playing against them,
Exactly.
maybe put a little cushion between you and the opponent. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe on the video. If there's any other armies that you want to see us talk about, leave your comments. We've been getting all of yours, and we've been trying to do as many as we can. But keep telling us which ones you guys want to see. And then if you guys want to see a more in-depth conversation about maybe the army you play, Daughters of Khaine, or any other army that you have, House of Hobbies is a channel that has a lot more deep dive into each army, each unit, each artifact, and they really talk about all the different parts of that and dive a lot more into the tournament play and the competitive nature of those armies. So if you want to get more into that, definitely check them out and see kind of what content they have. But thank you so much for joining us, and
Yeah, thanks for having me.
if hopefully we get some more Khaine players out there or some more people who can take them out.
Yeah, all right. Okay.